as much as we're told as a child, don't judge a book by its cover, we do that. And just like you said, the difference between wearing sneakers and wearing dress shoes or business attire, if you walk into a corporate environment and you're not dressed a certain way, people will look at you differently. And it's immediate. And there's so many little nuances that can play into it. And one of the things for me that I love about the Web3 space is the anonymity, right? I mean, obviously, Mike and I have a show, people see us, so we are what we are. Um, but when you're in Discord and you're in a chat and you're in Discord, specifically what Mike was talking about during that hate beast time, and there's, here's a 500,000 people going nuts. You have no idea who you're talking to. And so it forces you to ask questions about character and who you are, and you get to know people. It forces you to get to know who they actually are, not all the stuff that we pretend people are. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's interesting because you really get to see the cream rise to the top, um, based on real objective skills or abilities rather than these perceived things. Rather than the fact that they just simply dressed really nice and they were smooth talkers. You know what I mean? We all know people who have been promoted to high level positions in management simply because of that, not because of competency. They just filled a good role in what they were doing, and that I'm not knocking that. That's just the way the world is. But it's nice to have a space where it's it's um it's as close to almost a pure meritocracy that we're going to get, and it's interesting how that plays out and why certain people tend to gravitate towards it and why others tend to steer away from it. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point. That is something that I do really appreciate about it as well. Like, if I guess if I'm honest about it, right? Like, it's something that affects me, like, personally a lot.
Yeah,
In the situations that I'm in the spaces I'm in, with how I look. This is like it's like a general conversation of topic in my mind, right?
sure.
Um, so 100%, right? And this does not happen within AV and Bev, and I want to be like really clear about this. It's never happened to me, like the experience I'm about to say.
Oh, sure.
But I've had people say to me, in the Bay when I was living in San Francisco, I've had people say to my face like, "Oh, but like you dress like that, so like clearly people don't take you seriously when you're when you're at work,
Mm,
right?"
Right.
And it's like it's
yep.
just really funny because it's like, dude, like you have no idea what I do on a day to day, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Web3 for me is like signifying like this change, or like it's a very visual or
Hmm.
very real representation of like the change that we're starting to see and the shift in the mindset that people are
Yeah.
having. It's like we haven't quite transitioned over, which is why it's not the majority yet
Right.
Yeah.
um,
Correct.
in this transition phase. But I think I really like and hope that it represents actually a future state
Yes.
in which we conduct ourselves.
And I
Well
think
said.
that's why a lot of people are into it, right? Because,
Yeah.
applications just not in relationships, but finance and how we deal obviously
Mm,
with money and how does that impact
Yeah.
nations that can't afford to do certain things now if we level the playing field more, right?
right.
And it can be a
You
beautiful
bet.
thing.